So this is a recording of me going over your assignment for today. I'm not going to be giving answers, but I am going to be going over each question to make sure you guys know how to set it up. I'm going to cancel that. Okay, here we go. So for this one, it's pretty basic. Billy buys 6 movies for $34. Now you're thinking, I don't know what goes at the top, what goes at the bottom. It really doesn't matter because you're just looking for the ratio that has 6 movies and $34. So for example, this is not the answer because this has $6 instead of 6 movies. So there's only one ratio that has 6 movies and $34. And it's pretty obvious how to do that one. Next. Number 2, in my opinion, is basically the same type of thing. There's only one correct answer, and it should be pretty easy to see what it is. This one is this is where it's gonna start getting a little bit tricky, okay? For something like this, let me enlarge it so the video is gonna be easier to see for you. What I suggest is take this, these are all equivalent ratios, okay? I would suggest you take, hey Ava, when you divided, did you get this one right?
Which one is that?
Girl, look at it. So what I told you to divide and divide, did you get it right?
No, I don't think I did. I think I pressed similar. Oh, wow.
You know what? I can check it, but 4, 1, 18. Yeah, that's right. So I suggest you write this as a ratio first. Write this with the variable in it. Write that as a ratio second. And then ask yourself, how do I get from this number to this number? Well, it's going to be through division since you're getting smaller. And you're going to divide by what? Well, you're going to divide by 4. So you take 72, you divide by 4, and you're going to get your answer. And that's going to work. And then you can check it because whatever answer you get, if you take 1, let me erase this. Actually, I'm going to move this all over here. I don't want you to see this because you're the only one I did this one with. So if you take 1 times what to get 6, it's going to be times 6. And if your answer is right and you multiply that number times 6, you will get 108. Okay? So that's how you do that. And that's just a way of checking it. If you do this and you get that answer, you are done. Next. Find the value of m. Now this is the whole reason I'm doing this video. A lot of people are asking me about this, okay? And I'm not going to say Dylan or Reagan or Evangeline's name out loud. Or what I do. So for this one, set it up the same way. Make this a ratio. And then with the variable in it, let that be second. It's going to be a little bit easier to process, in my opinion, like this. Now, look at where the numbers are. We've done something like this before last week. See how you're decreasing? So that's going to be through division. 2 divided by what is 1? And you should know that. It's going to be 2. So now you're doing the exact same thing to this. You're going to take this whole thing. Let me highlight it for you. Now this is where the math is going to come in. 1/2 divided by 2 equals m. And I don't expect you to know exactly how to do that just yet. So I'll go a little bit further for this one. So when you set up the fraction dividing by 2, we divided fractions the first month of school, long time ago. So we did that by converting the whole number to a fraction, and then we would keep, change, and flip. So keep the first fraction, change the division to multiplication, flip the second fraction, and then multiply across, and you're going to get your answer, and it is going to be a fraction, okay? Your answer will be a fraction. But you're going to do the work. I'm not giving answers. For number 5, Dylan, if you still need help with number 5, I'm sorry, student in the back. I don't want them to hear your name on the video. Student in the back, whose name I haven't said yet. If you still need help with number 5, find the unit rate. So it's quite simple. D, see, I didn't say it. All right, so D, Dylan, what we're going to do is you're just going to convert this information into this fraction, that's all. So at the top, how many people do you have? Well, you have 108. At the bottom, how many days do you have? Well, you have 12. Now, it says to find the unit rate. So to find a unit rate, this is what we did yesterday. you take the denominator and you divide both numbers in the fraction by the denominator. So I'm going to divide this by 12, and I'm going to divide this by 12. And this is going to be, well, you guys should know if it's a unit rate, that has to be 1, and that's days. And then this is the math that you're going to be responsible for doing on your own. 108 divided by 12 is going to equal something, and that last quantity, that's people. Does that help? So, you guys need to put the numbers in and do the math. 108 divided by 12. Use long division. If you struggle with that, then you're going to need to set it up like this and ask yourself, 12 goes into 10 0 times. So basically, 12 goes into 8 how many times? And if you need to guess and check by multiplying, then do that. Take your time. You have plenty of time today to be able to finish this assignment, in my opinion. Okay? Next. Number 6. Ava, you said you need help with number 8?
Yeah.
I'm going to be there in just a second, okay? So find the unit what? I'll be there in a second. Find the unit rate. This is exactly like the last one, so I'm just, remember, 98 here, 7 here. Then you're going to divide by the denominator, so the same number is going to be here and here. You're going to divide by the denominator in this ratio. And then this is the terms, and this is the numbers. And this is definitely going to be a 1, because it's a unit rate. You guys should do fine with that if you understood the last one. Same thing like this. Number 7 is the same type of question. You should not need help with this after doing the last two. Now, the division, I'll be honest, when you divide both things by 6, that might take you a little bit of time to do this. 6 goes into 21 3 times. You multiply, you get 18, you get 3. After you subtract, you bring the 9 down, and then 6 goes into 39. How many times? You're going to need to finish that on your own, but I got you started. It's going to be 300 something. There's going to be a number here. There's going to be a number here, and it's not a decimal. So if you get a decimal, you did it wrong. Now, number 8. It took Alex 6 weekends to paint 15 fences. So probably the easiest way to do this, and this is a tricky one. When I looked over this, I almost took it out. I took out, I think, 6 questions. This is one that I almost took out, but I decided to keep it to see who can get it on their own without any help. So probably the easiest way to solve this would be to break this down into a ratio that's going to be a little bit easier to work with by going backwards. So what am I even talking about? I'm talking about this. If you divide 15 by 3, you're going to get 5. And if you divide this by 3, you're going to get 2. And this is probably the best ratio to start with and to finish with. So now that I did that, I divided the top and bottom by the same number. So I know 2 over 5 is equivalent to 6 over 15. Now, I'm going to take this foundational ratio. It's not a unit rate, but it is a ratio. If every 2 weekends you can paint 5 fences, then how many weekends will it take for you to do 20? Now it looks much easier. Because now you're like, oh, I can do this in my head. If these are, I just went blank. If these are equivalent, 5 times what is 20? Oh, that's easy. And then whatever that number is, you're going to do the same thing to the top, and it's going to give you your answer. And that's a whole number. It's not a fraction. Did that make sense, Ava? You got it right? Did you get it right? Do you know 5 times what is 20? Did you do 2 times the same number? Okay. Next, number 9. Mr. Ernest wants to know how many miles he can travel with his motorcycle for each gallon of gas. Okay, so if he goes this many miles in 10 gallons, let me write that as a ratio. 640 miles on 10 gallons. What is the unit rate? Oh, well, this is easy. Unit rate means I just divide, I set it up. And how do I know that I set it up? Okay, so I kind of did it automatically, but I need to explain how I got that. It's miles. See how the per's right here? Miles comes first, so that goes at the top. Gallons last, so it's going to go at the bottom. So now I just divide by the denominator. Divide this by 10 to get 1 gallon. You divide the top by 10, and you are going to get your answer. 640 divided by 10. Go back and watch me do that again if I went too fast. What just Okay, so I'll just do this all over again. Okay, so for number 1, I'm just joking. I'm not going to do that. Let me go to number 10. Who needed help with number 10? Garrison, did you need help with number 10? Okay. Stella used 25 gallons of gas driving to and from school this week in a van. 25 gallons of gas. How many miles did she drive this week? So, this is a tricky question. You're going to blue. So, I'm going to set up a rate first. The rate is going to be this. She's using a van. And every 60 miles she travels takes 10 gallons. And they want to know if she used 25 gallons, how many miles would that be? Okay? And for me, what I think the easiest way to do this might be a little bit long. Some of you might say, oh, I know exactly what to multiply to get this, and I'm just going to multiply that times the same number. And that's fine. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. I'm actually going to take a path that's a little bit longer. I'm going to do what they're doing here. I'm going to find the unit rate first. I'm going to find the unit rate. So I'm going to make this a 1. And then I know that I divide this by 10 to get 1. So 60 divided by 10 is 6. So this is a really helpful, unit rates are really helpful starting points to be able to determine how many miles you can get out of a specific number of gallons. So if she goes 6 miles in 1 gallon, and she traveled using 25 gallons, well, now it's much easier. Now I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it over here. Now I just do one more ratio. Off of 25 gallons, how many miles is this? So now it's the opposite of division. Now 1 times what is 25? It's 25. 1 times 25 equals 25. So I take 6 times 25, and I get my answer. 6 times 25 is going to be the answer. Yes, Reagan? I'm going to have to help you later, okay? So you put that answer in. I think they're going to ask you to answer one more question after you do that. Okay? And then last, you know what? To avoid, I'm going to hit no. And I'm just going to tell you. So 6 times 25 is 150. Let's look and see. Okay. Really? How does that happen? Think. Reagan, I'm going to try to do it one more time, but you're going to have to pay attention, okay?
I don't know where you got the 10.
Distance driven using 10 gallons of gas. So, in 10 gallons, and it can even be set up like this. You can set it up like this, no problem. Actually, for the unit rate to be 1 gallon, I'm going to put the gallons of gasoline at the bottom. So with 10 gallons, 60 miles are going to be driven. Does that make sense, Reagan? Now do you see where the 10 came from? So when they say how many miles using 1 gallon of gas, well, I divide this by 10, and I divide this by 10, and I get 6 miles. Do you understand that? Good. Now, they want to know if this is a unit rate, and it is, and you travel with 25 gallons, if you go 25 gallons here, you're multiplying times 25. You multiply this times 25, and I think you get 150. Let me hit enter, see if it's right. Okay, it is. Now the next question says, since the motorcycle travels how many miles using 5 gallons? Okay, now, this can be confusing. And if you understand ratios, okay, let me read the whole thing. Tim says he can travel farther on 5 gallons of gasoline using his motorcycle than he can on 15 gallons of gasoline using his car. I'm glad I'm doing the whole thing. Is Tim correct? Well, first, how far does he go on 5 gallons of gasoline? Well, here's the good news. 5 gallons is half of this. So if he goes on a motorcycle, if he goes 560 miles on 10, then just cut it in half. Half of 500, half of 56 is 38. No, half. Oh wow, I wasn't even close. What was I thinking? 280. I think it's gonna be 280. Yeah. So that's 200. And do you understand where 280 came from? Yeah, cutting it in half just means divide by 2. So he went 280 miles using 5 gallons of gas. Now the car, using 15 gallons. So what I'm going to do for the car is I'm going to set it up 160 miles in 10 gallons. That as a unit rate, I wish I had more space. That is, I'm going to have to put it down here. Divide by 10, divide by 10. I want to get 1 gallon. So I'm going to divide this by 10. I'm going to divide this by 10. That's going to give me 16 miles for 1 gallon. That's a G. Now, if I want to travel using 15 gallons, just multiply this times 15 gallons. Multiply this times 15 gallons. And 16 times 15 is 240. So, Tim is correct. He can travel farther on his, I need to put 240 right there. He can travel farther on a motorcycle using 5 gallons and a car using 15. And that's well done.
Wait, what was the second answer you said?
I don't know. 240, I think. Wait, we're not done yet?
No, there's...
Ava, this is what it looks like.
Oh.
Last, a car has a gasoline tank that holds 12 gallons of gasoline. Okay? Can someone use this car to make a 190-mile trip on 1 tank of gasoline? Well, let's do this. We're talking about a car. It goes 160 miles on 10 gallons, which translates as a unit rate to 16 miles for 1 gallon. So if it has a 12-gallon tank, let's do one more conversion. Now instead of dividing by 10 to get the unit rate, I'm going to expand it. And I'm going to multiply times 12. Let's see what 16 times 12 is. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. 6, 1, add 192. It can go 192 miles on 12 gallons. So, can someone use that car to make a 191-mile trip? Yeah, they probably could. Since the car travels 192 miles, I just did the math for you. Using 12 gallons, the car can make the trip. Check the answer. And I did the whole thing for number 10 for you. Okay, hope that was helpful. And I'm going to have one more to do. This Venn diagram shows a relationship of ratios, blah, 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 blah. Write the ratio shown as two different, this is a ratio, equivalent rates and a unit rate. So, two different equivalent rates. So this is not too hard. One of these is going to be cut 63 cheeseburgers in half and cut 18 pounds in half. And that gives you, actually, it's not going to be cut in half because that would be a decimal if you cut this in half. But you can divide by 3 to get this. And you can also double it. You can multiply both times 2, the top and bottom. That's going to give you this. Can you get that, please, Ava, if you know how? And then find the unit rate. Now, this is going to be a decimal. Because if you take 63 cheeseburgers over 18 pounds of beef, and you divide this by 18 like you're supposed to, that's going to give you 1 pound of beef. That means pound. And then 63 divided by 18. So honestly, guys, you know it's going to be, if it's a unit rate, you know that's not going to be their answer and that's not going to be the answer. So it's either going to be B or D. So you need on your own to take 63 divided by 18, and then you're going to get either B or D, and I am done. And y'all get ready to go, because the bell's going to ring in a second.